Hi, and welcome to this special interview with the Canadian Donation and Transplantation Research Program, CDTRP, and Bernadine and Toby Boulet. My name is Stephanie, and I'm the CDTRP Communication Manager. Today, we will discuss the Green Shirt Day initiative in honor of the Logan Boulet effect and in support of organ donation awareness and registration across Canada. Welcome, Bernadine and Toby. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Stephanie.
Can you please start us off with some background for those who may be less familiar with this fairly recent initiative?
Go ahead, Bernie.
Well, the initiative is Green Shirt Day, and it's actually in honor of the Logan Boulet effect, which started back in 2018 after the Humboldt Bronco bus crash. And so it seems like not very long ago, but when you think about it, it is 4 years ago that it started. And it was just the recognition and the honoring of Logan and his decision to become an organ donor that really inspired people to sign up and register to become organ donors and to have conversations with their family about wanting to be an organ donor, because that conversation can make a world of difference at a time when a family is dealing with a tragedy and having to make decisions that nobody ever wants to have to make. So that's what Green Shirt Day kind of grew out of, and we are so pleased with how big of an impact it actually has made to so many people.
Great, thank you for setting the stage, Bernadine. If it's okay with you, I can start with the questions we have prepared. So how were you able to launch this initiative so quickly? I mean, tragic events took place in 2018, and in less than a year, it was a nationwide initiative with lots of media coverage.
To be fair and honest, it was never our intention to actually launch any initiatives at this scale. About 3 weeks after the tragedy and after Logan's funeral, Logan's godfather was sitting in our house and working away because we had lots of media contacts wanting to talk to us. And he said, "They're going to come." And I said, "Who's going to come?" He said, "They're just going to come. We don't know who, but they're going to come." And he was right, they came. And that what they are is that's media and organ donation and awareness organizations, transplant organizations, but basically a gentleman called David Peckham from Aquarius Marketing contacted us about in the middle of June and asked us if we were interested in allowing him to utilize Logan's name and images for a movement called Green Shirt Day. At first we were quite leery and didn't want to do that, so we generated some questions, so some friends of ours, a couple lawyers that we know, and gave him some questions that we needed answers to, and from that we grew a relationship with David, and we allowed it to happen. So David's done majority of the behind the scenes work. Our job, our task, our passion, I guess, is to put Logan's name out there and remember the Humboldt Broncos and remember that the whole tragedy caused what is known as the Logan Boulet effect. And we're more than willing to allow Logan's image and name to be part of this great cause of creating organ donor registration and awareness in Canada and North America, actually.
Wow, this is great. How did you engage with the media and the organ donation and transplantation communities?
Well, I think when we first started, we didn't really, as Toby said, it wasn't our objective or it wasn't our view that that's what we were going to do. We weren't going to be the story. We weren't going to have Logan be the face of organ donation and transplantation. And it kind of happened sort of slowly. So after Green Shirt Day was kind of, the wheels began to roll with that. We got contacted by contact. So we didn't reach out first, but other organizations, Kidney Foundation of Canada, the Liver Foundation, they reached out to us, and Canadian Blood Services reached out to us. And so that's kind of how we became engaged with those communities. And it was interesting because our very first time that we ever spoke to a group of people was a Kidney Foundation fundraiser in Saskatoon. and it was Kidney Foundation of Southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. And we knew that the impact of Logan wanting to be a donor had impacted people beyond our realm. And it was there that we really found out how it impacted the organ donation community, and how the organ donation and transplantation community, how it had given people hope. It had given families hope. People who've been waiting on the transplantation list for like sometimes a couple decades were waiting for a kidney to come, a liver to be able to be donated, that they were waiting, and the circumstances may have occurred one time, but then other things happened and that just didn't work out. So every time that someone registered to be an organ donor, that impacted them and made a difference to them, because that just made give them a little bit more hope that their transplantation would come. So when we talked to that first one, we really realized the impact and how far reaching it was really going with Logan and his transplantation. And from there, it just kind of kept going and spreading. And we learned that people wanted to hear about Logan and they wanted to know about Logan's story. The media has always been so kind to us. They have always been able to, they come and ask to interview us. And here in Lethbridge, we had people who worked at Global and at CTV Lethbridge, and they would vet and they would talk to people, and then they would come to us and say, like, we have an interview, someone is doing a story in, you know, Halifax, someone is doing a story in Vancouver, someone's doing a story in Toronto, they would like some background, could we interview? And they were so kind, like if we said no, we just don't have time or we don't have the energy, and they were good about that. So we've only had, in all of our time since the tragedy, our family has only had one real negative media interaction, and that really had nothing to do with organ transplantation or donation. And since we have become so involved in that, our relationship with the media has been wonderful. They have been supportive, they've been kind, they've been generous. They have, as you may know, that sometimes when you say things to media, they take things and that's not what I said, and they are really good at not doing that with us. So we appreciate that greatly. We've had the opportunity to meet a significant number of transplant people, or people who work in the transplant communities, people who work with donations, people who are recipients, families, and we've also had the opportunity to meet up with people who are families of angel donors. So we were given that term at the very first Kidney Foundation dinner that we went to, about Logan being an angel donor. And so there's so many families that are families of angel donors, and they just don't have the confidence, have the means, have the opportunities to share their person's story. And so they're even thankful that we share Logan's story and are sharing the impact that their person made, that their angel made, to share with other people. So it's just been really amazing, like how we engaged in different ways, through conversations, through events, through just emails, just to be connected with people that we would have never thought of being connected with 4 years ago. So we are thankful for that. We're thankful to know that there's other people on this road with us, and the support that we get is incredible from so many people, and we're thankful for that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the buildup of the relationships was very important and went pretty fast. And it's very interesting when you say that people reach out to you and you didn't have much to do, like on the outside. This is great. I think this question is for Toby. How do you measure the impacts and successes of the Green Shirt Day initiative?
Well, Bernie said it briefly, and I'm just going to expand on that. Then I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts, what you probably want. But the impact to us is the stories. Bernie and I love stories. Our family's built on stories, all families, and everybody has a story. So when people tell us their story, and the more stories we're told, the more the impact is. And we get lots of people telling us their story, and that's communicated via internet, community, Twitter, Facebook Messenger. We get stories sent to us quite often, and we read them, and I respond, and we respond back, or we just get told, you know, face-to-face comments that, well, my cousin's brother, or which would be a cousin, you know, there's a connection. So how it's actually measured, the nuts and bolts way, is that first off, we counted by registrations. Obviously, after Logan's passing, there's 150,000 Canadian blood sources made that number. They dedicated that number. And that only counted the ones that were actually registered. At that time in 2018, there's 3 or 4 provinces that didn't keep track of their registrations. So those were just guesstimates. They weren't even accurate. Now, since that time, it's become much more accurate how they count. And after Green Shirt Day 2019, there's another 100,000 directly attributed to the Logan Boulet effect. So that made 250,000. Of course, COVID came in and it stopped a lot of organ transplantation work, as you very well know, in Canada and around the world. And it took a third, fourth seat behind COVID. Now we're back. COVID's not cured by any stretch, and we know that. We work with immunocompromised people all the time. We wear our masks. We're triple vaccinated. We do the best we can. So, but those numbers are going to come up this time. So, for example, in Manitoba, their goal is to have 10,000 new organ donor registrations in Manitoba. We're going to Winnipeg tomorrow, and we're speaking at City Hall. We're speaking at the Winnipeg Jets game. We're in the Winnipeg Free Press, an article on Saturday, helping them get to their 10,000. Our job is to help. So that's one way. The other way is through social media. The impressions on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, those numbers climb and climb and climb every year. The Green Shirt Day build up. Even during COVID, they were climbing. This year, we've had a tremendous impact of proclamations and light up green for Canada. There's more coming out because there's more people are engaged in Green Shirt Day via our new ambassadors toolkit. So that's been awesome. So people are engaged. We have like almost 9,000 Facebook followers, and it's all ran by a marketing firm, not us. And the last one is that basically is the request for media interviews. We had last year, our family did about 44 interviews in the month of March. This year, we're on track for the same amount, but it's different because now we can do face-to-face, less virtual ones. So we're almost on a travel route. We've been to Regina, we've been to Vancouver, now we're going to Winnipeg. After Green Shirt Day, we go to Pittsburgh, and then we go to London, Ontario. Those are trips we're on. Some are paid by our family, we pay. The world gave us money, so we pay, and other trips are paid by the groups that want us to come talk. So it just works out. We don't collect any money for it, but the demand for our time is a way that we measure how successful we are. When nobody wants to talk to us anymore, or put things out, or create things for the Logan Boulet effect and Green Shirt Day, then we know that it's ran its course. And maybe that'll be if Canada becomes a presumed consent country. Maybe we'll just be a footnote, which is fine by then.
Wow, these are for sure, these are great numbers that we like to see increase more and more on the organ donation. And now, what are the next steps for the Green Shirt Day initiative?
Well, I'll start that, and Bernie can add to it, I guess. Is the next steps is where do we go from here? And where we go from is that we have 4 or 5 provinces that are completely dialed in with their health organization, their health, Alberta Health, for example, BC Health, Saskatchewan Health, they're dialed right in. And there's other provinces that are just getting themselves organized and understanding. And it's almost like the further east we go from Alberta, the more work we have to do. Now we have to get out there, and that's hard to do. We've done lots of radio work, TV work, but we need to get out there. And we have support from across Canada. We just need to get more support. Again, nobody makes money off of this. It's just to get people, to get them so they can have their transplants in organs and tissues as quickly as possible to make more lives better. That's all we're trying to do. And that's our next initiative, is to keep going across the country and keep making ourselves available. I don't know if Bernie wanted to add anything to that.
Well, I think something else that, so I teach grade 2 here in Lethbridge, And one of the big things that we want with Green Shirt Day, and I talked to my assistant principal about this yesterday, is that that's such a nice cat. Anyways, is that by Green Shirt Day being an event and being a day, it means that people have a conversation. We know at least once a year that there's a conversation. It gets brought to the forefront. There are people who want organ donation to be part of the curriculum or the program of studies, so that that's something that we are required to teach. I think that that would be a difficult thing, because I think that we would get more pushback against that. But by having Green Shirt Day and it becoming an event, it becomes something that we do at our school. So we're going to have an assembly. The kids are going to present. Actually, it's kind of funny, because after COVID, this will only be our second assembly that we'll actually be able to have. But it also means that Green Shirt Day, it is businesses have events, post-secondary institutions have events, other schools have events, communities have events. And so then that really brings that organ donation and registration to the front of people's minds for the month leading up to it, for the day of Green Shirt Day, and for Not Dow. And that makes an impact. And I think that those are things that are all part of Green Shirt Day, is to make that impact and to make that happen. So that's all part of that whole umbrella of Green Shirt Day. Is that's an initiative by having those days and having people have that conversation, which I think is so important, to make sure that people have that conversation with their friends, with their family, and just to get the wheels turning about organ donation. Because even though for us now it's very much in the forefront, but there's still people who it's not. So that makes a big difference. So those are kind of initiatives. We've also worked with Canadian Blood Services, and they have got the rights for the orgamites.ca, which are for Canada. And they, the orgamites are a way that we can bring the conversation about organ donation and organ transplantation to primary students and elementary school students. And it brings them with these characters who are fun and, you know, at that level where kids are going to say, oh yeah, I see those, and they make a difference. So that's another initiative, not necessarily from Green Shirt Day, but just in cooperation with other organizations, to be able to do that, and to bring Green Shirt Day to and to have those, that ability to bring those to the schools. I think that those are important, because every time someone, a teacher, a school has an assembly, then those conversations go home, and then that'll make a difference, and hopefully getting more registrations.
Amazing. So to finish, do you have any final words, additional comments that you would like the audience to know?
I'll just add a couple quick ones and let Bernie finish. She's a great finisher, let me tell you that. She's the best, way better than I am. The Kidney Foundation of Canada is one of our partners, and we do a lot of work with the Kidney Foundation, a lot, and they're supportive and they're awesome. We'd really like to do more work with other foundations in Canada, and we have done some, but just to get more formalized. And again, it's not about us, it's not about Toby or Bernie being on images, it's about Logan and the Humboldt Broncos. He wears their jersey, many of the images we supply, it's about that. It's about remembering the Broncos with other transplantation groups and honoring the Logan Boulay effect and moving forward. And that's, you know, that it's kind of where we need to keep moving forward, doing those things, bringing more organ donation groups into the fold. And Bernie, you can close us off.
One of the big things that I think with Green Shirt Day is it has become a positive and a ray of sunshine that has come from something really tragic and very hard. And it has made a difference in people's lives, and that's what we really want. Anytime that anybody has to deal with a tragedy, you want there to be a ray of sunshine. You want there to be something good that comes out of it. So Green Shirt Day is a way that not only recognizes Logan, but it recognizes the Broncos, because green is the color of organ transplantation, but it's an organ donation, but it's also green and gold are the colors of the Humboldt Broncos. And so we want to remember those people on the bus. We want to remember that people have made a difference. And we want to remember that that there's all kinds of angel donors. There's all kinds of living donors that have made a difference to people's lives, that because they made a decision and they spoke to their families, and so that their families would have that ability to make a decision, because we know that families have that ability at the very end to make that choice, which I think we appreciate, because nobody wants to be told necessarily, excuse me, what they have to do, especially us out here in the West. Anyways, and I think that it makes a big difference, just to know the recognition and that people are wanting to do something, and this is something that they can do. We are planning our assembly that we are doing with our kids, just to talk about being a life cycler, that you make that decision, you write it on a piece of paper, you tell your family. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a donor right away, because the circumstances have to be so special for you to actually be a donor. And it hopefully won't happen for years in a way. So we just want people to know that we are thankful for the support that we've been given. We are thankful for the kindness. We are thankful for the people that have honored Logan through registration. And we want people to have a conversation, to be inspired by Logan, to register, and talk to their families, so that their families know.
Thank you so much, Bernadine and Toby, for your precious time and to get the word out there. We do need people like you. So for more info on the Green Shirt Day, you can visit greenshirtday.ca. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.